Hello students, welcome to video lecture series of Artificial Intelligence and Intelligence System for Btech Computer Science students and BCA students provided by St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management affiliated to Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, Haryana, approved by Government of India and AICTE. I am Ms. Pratishri Patnaik, working as Assistant Professor in Computer Science Department. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss with the topic of knowledge representation as per the curriculum syllabus available in unit 2. With the concerned topic, we will be discussing today's lecture with what is knowledge, why it is so important in the field of artificial intelligence or AI or intelligence system, what are the types of representation of knowledge, techniques that are required to represent the knowledge. So let's start with today's lecture. So what is knowledge representation? In order to create and make a system intelligent, it is most important to give a correct information to the system. If a system is having a reliable and correct information, then only the system is going to represent the correct output. So one of the major key factors to develop an intelligent system or in the field of AI is the knowledge representation, because human beings have skills, learning methods through educational parameter with respect to the environment to gain the knowledge. But when we say an intelligent system is going to be knowledgeable as per how the designer is going to put the information. Knowledge is also dependent upon the intelligent factors, that information or data or the fact that is related to the real world. Rather, intelligent is the ability to utilize, gather the information to make the system more informative. And on the other hand, knowledge is also a parameter that comes under with the field of intelligence and reasoning too. Reasoning, when I say what is reasoning? Reasoning is nothing but it's term related to, like in Hindi it said that vichar karna or thinking the capability of the system. Do a machine or intelligent system has its own capability of thinking or not? An intelligent system by default is nothing but have its own knowledge or capability of solving the problem, but making an intelligent system more reliable and effective or giving a fruitful result, we have to give a proper information or proper knowledge accordingly to get a desirable result. So there are many scientists who all are still working in the field of knowledge implementation, how the knowledge can be more reliable without any ambiguity factor. The information that we are gathering in the real world is always in a dynamic environment. The information always keeps on changing. And one more thing that comes to mind when we talk about a knowledge, that knowledge can be possible if we have the intelligence with us. If we have knowledge but we don't have the intelligent power with us, then what, the knowledge is valuable or not? If we have only the knowledge but no information about the data or fact, then what, the knowledge is going to be valuable or not? That is also a parameter. And when we are planning to represent the knowledge, we always need to think that the knowledge should not take any ambiguity information to the system. If at any time the knowledge is taking the ambiguity information and the ambiguity information has stored in the intelligent system, then definitely the system is going to be fatal. Let's say, for example, we come across with the word pacemaker. Pacemaker is a device that is worked as an artificial heart machine that is inserted to a human body if the heart is not properly functioning or doing the regular work. If any kind of error that has occurred in that machine, then definitely the human being is going to be dead. So before inventing such kind of a robots or with the world of information or technology or in the field of intelligent system, we need to think what type of knowledge is reliable to this world to exist. So let's have a definition. What is knowledge representation? Humans are the best understanding reasoning and interpreting the knowledge. Human have its own brain to understand what exactly happening, what is the fact of the world, what is the knowledge that gain in the real world or according to the situation also. Reasoning in the sense understanding or thinking that what we are acquiring through the learning method, is that valuable to us or not, or interpreting by the method we are getting the knowledge since our childhood or teenage field or when we are getting older and older. We need to interpret whatever the information or knowledge that we have gained, are it is going to be reliable or not. Human knows things which is to be better to give a good performance to the system in the real world, but how does a machine is going to be represented? How does a machine do all the things comes under to knowledge representation and the reasoning method. So we describe some of the terminologies. Knowledge representation and reasoning, KR or KRR, is a part of artificial science which is concerned with the artificial intelligence agent that is having the thinking capability and how thinking contributes to the intelligent system behavior of the agents. That is the first phenomenon. Second thing, it is responsible for representing the information about the real world. So the computer can understand and utilize the knowledge to solve a complex problem with the real world, such as diagnosis of a medical condition, curing for a tumor, searching the MRI scanning reports. And let's say another one fact, it is also the way which describe how to represent the knowledge in artificial intelligence, that representing is not only storing the information in the database but also doing the analytical research and enable the intelligent machine to learn how the knowledge and experience can be behaved simultaneously each other, just like interacting to a human being. So let's have that when we say about the knowledge, what exactly we are planning to represent, how the intelligent system or intelligent parameter is going to be represented. The first thing that comes to mind is the object. What are the real-time object? All the facts of object that comes with the real world domain. Let's say, for example, when we say as a guitar, it contains the strings, trumpets, bass instruments. These are the musical instruments. The information is gathered. This can be utilized for playing music songs and etc. Let's say, what about the events? The occurrence of the event, fact that is going to be determined by the event in real-time environment, the knowledge is developed. Now let's say, what is performance? The performance is going to deal with the behavior of the system to know the knowledge, how it is going to give you the particular task. What is meta knowledge? When we say meta knowledge, it is a knowledge about a knowledge. That is knowledge about what exactly has been stored in the knowledge based. Fact are the truth value of the real world where we are going to represent it. Knowledge based, this is the central component of a knowledge based architecture system. The large database that is going to handle all the knowledge information gathered to stored over there. Knowledge engineers are still working to maintain a good database of knowledge base where the knowledge are the group of sentences that are going to be represented in the world. Yet the sentences are not the technical part that we are been comes across with the phonetics or the English abbreviations of the sentence, which is going to helpful for us generating any information. So let's begin with the next thing. When we say it's knowledge is the awareness or the familiarity to gain the experience of fact data in this situation. Now the types of knowledge are there. There are many types of knowledge we can say. We are come across with a few things with us. Knowledge can be provided by declaring the knowledge or heuristic method of representation, procedural knowledge, structural knowledge, and etc. Let's have an example. What is a declarative knowledge? When we say it's a type of knowledge, declarative in the sense when we are putting some statement in a declaration way. Suppose let's say my cat Minnie is black in color. When I say this English statement, this sentence containing the declaration statement, I am having a cat with me and also whose color is black in color. Declarative knowledge is known about something that is a fact. It includes the concept of fact and objects. It is also called descriptive knowledge and expressed mostly in the declarative sentence. It is a simpler form of a procedural language. That is a part. Now, as compared to the declarative, what is procedural knowledge? It is the part of imperative knowledge. Procedural knowledge is a type of knowledge which is responsible for knowing how to do the things in a manner. We need to follow some of the procedure to get to acquire some kind of a knowledge. Like in our childhood, we follow the certain procedure when we do the experiments in physics or in chemistry. Then only we could be able to gain a knowledge that G is equal to 9.8, that is the gravitational factor. When we perform the experiment by following certain kind of things, then only a knowledge been gained to us. What is a meta knowledge? The knowledge that is having other type of knowledge inside to it, it is a meta knowledge. That is a knowledge base inside another knowledge base. What is a heuristic knowledge? Heuristic knowledge is the representation of knowledge of some part in the field of subject or the matter. Heuristic rules are being used, that is the thumb rule, it is an example. When we do the heuristic search also, we come across with different parameters, which is going to give the awareness approach to get a particular knowledge in the real time. Structural knowledge is the basic knowledge of a problem solving. It describes mostly the relationship, such kind of a part of grouping or making the clustering, making the classification, then establishing a relationship between the different objects and then gaining the knowledge. Now, let's say as we studied the two parameters, that knowledge and information, or knowledge or intelligence system, how they are going to correlate with each other. If we have good knowledge with us, but we don't have a good intelligence system with us, will the intelligence system is going to work efficiently for us? May or may not be. That's also a part. How the intelligence system is moreover required to have a good knowledge with a good decision making system. If we are not providing a accurate knowledge to the intelligence system, or a desirable knowledge, or a less ambiguity knowledge, do the intelligence power in the machine is going to be developed by its own? So there are many facts and many questions arises in our mind. Knowledge is the real world, plays a vital role in the intelligence system, and same, it is creating an artificial intelligence system more fruitful and more reliable. Knowledge plays an important role in demonstrating also that to intelligence system, it is going to predict how the intelligence system behavior is going to be done. So we are executing many sensing devices, or the action that is provided through the knowledge to the system, or whenever the knowledge information is given to our intelligence system, it is going to have its a good decision making system to provide a required action. Let's suppose if you meet a person who is speaking a language which you don't know, then how are you going to predict to that? We are human being, suppose let's say we are able to understand English or Hindi or like our mother tongue, but somebody who has been speaking in front of us with the foreign language that is not known to us, are we going to react any of the statement that has been spoken in front of us? No. At that time we are unable to take the decision. Same way, the knowledge and intelligence system are partially or completely dependable to each other. If you have a knowledge, then the intelligence system is going to be developed. From the acquirable knowledge, what is left with us, and from the intelligence system, the system is going to be fruitful if the environment and the knowledge that has been developed is been coordinately working onto that. Simultaneously, both the parameter has to have an equal weightage, and there should not be any ambiguity factor that must lies in the knowledge factor. If there is any ambiguity or error concern is determined with the knowledge representation, definitely the machine or the intelligent machine or the artificial intelligence or whichever parameter that we are implementing to it is not going to give a good decision making system, or that decision which has been taken, it may be give you a wrong output. So let's begin with the next topic. What is the artificial intelligence knowledge cycle? So it is also important to know how this artificial intelligence system is utilizing the proper way of knowledge representation. There are many parameters are existing. So we need to understand the behavior or the components of the architectural system of knowledge cycle. Then only the artificial intelligence or the intelligence system or the device can be easily formulated. So let's have what are the components that are existing in the knowledge cycle. First one is the precipitate, learning, knowledge representation and reasoning, planning and execution. Here we come across with a new terminology. What is precipitant? When we say in the above diagram, this is the parameter is going to help us to acquire the knowledge, that is the component of retrieving the information. Precipitant is the part through which the information is gathered through the real world. After the information has been gathered, now from that information fact, we are adapting to the environment to gain learning process and represent what we have learned through the knowledge. This R comes under the category where the information that is gathered in a form through the environment by visual or audio or any other sensory input. From that information, we need to formulate the learning process. Once the information has been undergone with the learning component, it is now responsible to generate the knowledgeable thing that has occurred during the learning method. Learning component is responsible for the data capture by the precipitant component. In this complete cycle, after the knowledge that has been represented, now it need to be reasoning also, that we need to think, we need to manipulate, or we need to just as we say हमें विचार करना होता है कुछ चीज़ों का. Same way, the knowledge is going to be now understand properly through the method of reasoning, that how it is going to be implemented, what all planning is required, then the machine is, we say that it is completely executed, or like the education that is provided is completely executed. The learning, these components are involving showing the intelligent is a machine like human being. Two components independent to each other to behave in a coupled way. The planning and execution depend upon the type of knowledge representation and the reasoning has been done. If the information that has gathered from the real world is an effective one, then the learning parameter or the learning method will be successful. Once the learning process is completely successful, then easily the knowledge can be represented. As the knowledge are represented in a simpler, not in a very complex way, then we could easily do the reasoning part. If the reasoning is successful and getting the information, acquired desirable information from the knowledge, and it has to undergo with the platform of planning and making the system more executed. So this is what the learning cycle in a artificial intelligence system. Now let's begin how the knowledge is to be represented. If we come with the knowledge parameter representation, then how this knowledge is going to be represented. Simple relation of knowledge, let's say, what a simple way of representing the fact or information, that has to be a relational method, like we are using the database system or the relational world also, where the data or information can be stored with the real-time objects. The approach of the knowledge representation is famous in form of a database system, where the relationship between the entity is represented using the method of ER diagram, DFD diagram, entity relationship diagram, which we say. And below is the tabular format of representation. We have the entities with us, player, weight and age, player 1, player 2, player 3. The weight is assigned as 65, 58, 75 and the age is mentioned. This is the simpler way of representation of the knowledge to a database system. Now what is inheritable knowledge? When we say something inheritable, now it is a biological term, inheritable. Inheritable in the sense the characteristics or the property that has inherited from the parents and it is deliverable to the child or the new offspring. It is an approach by which it has to follow hierarchy of a class. All class should be arranged in a generalized form, that is in a hierarchical method. In this approach we applicable mostly the inheritance property. Elements inherited the value of the member functions. This approach contains the inheritable knowledge which show in between the instances and the class, which is also known as the instance relations or is a relation, what we say. Every individual can be represented with a collection of attributes and its value. Let's have an example. As we have a inheritance, applying the inheritance rule, we are come across with a family that comes under the adult or mammal. Here this is indicating the male family or this class belonging. It has been given in instances of that players, where we consider two subclasses of cricket and football, and Peter is an instance value or the entity representing to cricket, having a easier relation with the player, and same way Ankit is another object who is entity who will be having a relationship with football. So what is inferral knowledge? When we say inferral knowledge, what is that? Inferral knowledge is nothing but it is an approach of representing the knowledge in the form of a formal logics. When we say logical representation, including the predicate as well as prepositional logic, we'll study in detail later on. It is the approach to derive the knowledge or information through a very facts that are being used. Let's suppose we have a sentence with us, Marcus is a male and all males are mortal. Then it can be represented in this format. This is the inferral knowledge representation of a language. Man and the object, that is the Marcus. For all the men that are belonging to this category are mortal. All human beings are mortal. So Marcus must be a man. Then Marcus must be a mortal. That is the statement of the knowledge. Let's say what is procedural language. When we say procedural language, we need to follow certain rules for it. These are the small programs or code which describe how the specific things can be processed. In this approach, one of the important rules that we follow is the if-then rule. And mostly this procedural language can be developed using the LISP or the Prolog interface. After that, let's begin. What are the techniques of knowledge representation? As we come across with the methods, types of representation. Now, what are the techniques of representation of a knowledge? There are 4 ways of representation of knowledge. First one is the logical representation. Second is the semantic network representation. Third is the frame representation. Fourth one is the production rule. When we say the first part is the logic representation. What is logical representation? Logical representation of a knowledge is the language with some concerned concrete rules will be applicable, which is going to deals with the proposition and has no ambiguity in the representation. Logical means drawing a particular conclusion to a statement based upon various conditions. Let's say that we are writing certain sentences. I am eating an apple. It is having a reliable value or like meaningful sentence. If I say like morning I go, I have apple. No, that is not reliable. The sentence is having certain error. The representation laid down with some important communication rules is also there. It consists of precisely defined semantics and syntaxes is very important, and the sound of interference too. Each sentence can be then formally transformed or translated into logics using the sentence as well as semantics. When we say about the syntax, what is syntax? That is come across with defining the grammatical errors in the sentence. When we say about the semantic part, it comes under the meaningful sentences. Semantics are the rules that decide how we can construct a legal sentence in a way, and it determines which symbols are used to represent the knowledge and how does the symbols can be utilized while designing the syntax of a language. When it comes to the semantic part, it mostly comes under the rules of interpretation of the sentences to a logical variable reasoning. Semantics are also assigning meaningful to the sentence. Just we have an example. I is going to Delhi. This sentence is not a meaningful. I am going to Delhi is a meaningful sentence. So when we give a statement that is not having a meaningful sentence, that must be comes under carrying the knowledge in an ambiguity way. Knowledge representation is further categorized into two types, that is the propositional logic and predicate logic. First order predicate, second order predicate. In the next video series, we will focus more on this part. Now, what are the advantages of logical representation? Logical representation enable us to do the logical reasoning. Logical representation is the basis for programming languages, which is very important. And somewhere it is also having the disadvantages also. Logical representation has the restriction and challenges to the real-time world, as many facts are in dynamic environment. Everywhere, every time, we cannot use only the logical representation. The second representation method is the semantic network. What is a semantic network? This is the way logical we are mostly using the grammatical value of a knowledge representation. When we come to semantic, it is a graphical way of representation. Semantic network are the alternative of predicate logic for knowledge representation. In semantic network, we can represent the knowledge in a form of a graphical network, designing through a graphics and representing this. The network consists of nodes that are representing the object, and the arc that are used will be describe the relationship between the objects. When we will be designing a diagram, we will come across with the object and we will be gaining a relationship between the two objects that is going to give a reliable information and reliable knowledge. Semantic network is also easy to understand. The two important concepts that we use in inheritance, that is the easier relation and kind of relation. Let's have an example how a semantic network is drawn. I think this is visible to all in the diagram below mentioned, as well as let's draw a little. Yeah. So the example is Jerry is a cat, Zeri is a mammal. Zeri O by Priya. Zeri is wood and color. All mammals are animals. So this is the complex statement which is given with a language format. According to this semantic network can be drawn. Now Zeri is a cat, Zeri is a mammal, Zeri is owned by Priya. So Zeri is mentioned here with the object whose color is white in color. It is owned by Priya. Zeri is belonging to the animal family named cat. It's belonging to mammal, and this is the head of the head node. So these are the objects, these are the arcs that are giving the relationship to them. So this is the way how a semantic network can be designed. In the above diagram, it has been represented with the nodes and arcs. Each object has to be a connected relationship. Again, in semantic network, we come across with some of the drawbacks and advantages. As we say about the advantages, it is going to helpful for NLP system, natural language processing, conveying the meaning and transparent manner. This network is simple and easy to understand. Semantic network, on the other hand, is also having the drawback of computational time is too high when we are implementing this. And semantic network for a like human brain model which is having more than thousands of neurons is difficult to prioritize the information that has to be stored. Again, one more drawback, the type of representation is not inadequate for all type of quantifiers. Like say, it is very difficult to use for all statement, like for universal truth statement. So there are advantages and disadvantages, both is been there in the semantic network. When we say frame representation, this is the way. Frame is nothing. When we come across with a live example, we are keeping a photo frame with us with a collection of all the photos. That is a record purpose where we are keeping all the information in memory location. We are having a photo album with us since our childhood, all the memory, all the scrapbook. That is the photo frame representation. A frame is a record-like structure which consists of collection of attributes and its value described to the entire world information. Frames are in the artificial intelligence data structure which divides the knowledge and substructure into representation to stereotype situation. It consists of the collection of slots and slots value too. The slots may be of any type or size. The slots have the name which is reliable to the fact type. Let's say we have taken in a facts that these are the expect to the slot of fact, and we are also using if netted if fact that is necessary to utilizing the slot filters also. We have designed a frame book for us. The title of the book will be the artificial intelligence generic. It is belonging to the part of computer science. Author who have given edition is the part, when it has been written, how many pages are there. This is a frame book. This is a type of information or the knowledge that can be utilized. And then it have its advantages and disadvantages. Frame knowledge representation make the programmer more easy to collect the different kind of data. Frame representation is also comparable, flexible in comparison to other. It is easiest way to keep the information in attribute and keeping the relationship among each other. It can be handled out the large database system too. Frames represent easier and more visualized in a better way in comparable to others. Again, it has some disadvantages. Frame systems interfere mechanism is not easily been processed out. Mechanisms that are not smoothly represented, and also these are not following the generalized approach method. What are production rule representation? When we say production rule, it consists of some condition and action, which is also a very important part. When we are representing some information, we need to follow certain rules with us. The production rule, as we studied earlier, if then else, is also a part. We need to functionate by producing some rule, working with the memory, recognize what exactly the production rule has been worked on to give a desirable output. That is also a part. This is the production rule. Let's say we are having some rules with us. If then else rule, if we say the statement is that if at a bus stop and bus arrives, then action has to be go into the bus. The statement is like that: if a bus is coming and been stopped at the bus stand, go and get into the bus. So the production rule is saying that if and then condition both are there. If at the bus stop and bus arrives, then action get into the bus. Other hand, if on the bus stop and pay an empty seat, then get action sit down. When you pay for the ticket, you have to sit down. If on the bus it is unpaid, then action pay the charge. If you have not paid, you have to pay the charge and get into the bus. These are the certain kind of production rule example. Advantages: the production rule is expressed in the natural language basis for using of the NLP systems. The production rule is also highly modularized because it is easy to remove or add or modify the individual rule, which if the knowledge is having the capability to add and delete the information also, the production rule can be easily formulated. Production rule system also comes under with some difficulty or the disadvantages part. That is, production rule system does not exhibit any learning capability. It is only giving the statement to the occurrence of the situation. It does not store any result for a particular problem or the futuristic area. During the execution of a program, many rules can be ruled on, or depending upon the situation also can be changed. So production system is not that much reliable to exist in the real time product, gathering the information and knowledge. So in today's lecture we have covered all the important things. So go through with the lecture series once again and read the notes carefully. So thank you for today's lecture.